Avian influenza, or bird flu, as it's more commonly known, might seem like a distant problem. It's something we hear about on the news, often linked to faraway farms or wild bird migrations. But its impact ripples through our interconnected world, reaching right down to the food on our dinner tables and the stability of our global economy. For poultry farmers, an outbreak is nothing short of a catastrophe. It means the loss of their entire flock, a devastating blow not just to their livelihood but to their family's heritage, which is often built over generations of hard work. This isn't just a financial loss, it's a deeply personal and emotional crisis that can shutter a farm for good.
The consequences extend far beyond the farm gate. When a country reports a significant outbreak, international borders can slam shut to its poultry exports. Trade partners, worried about the virus spreading, will enact immediate bans. This creates a domino effect. The price of chicken and eggs can become volatile, swinging wildly as supply chains are disrupted. Supermarket shelves can empty, and the cost of a simple family meal can rise unexpectedly. For nations that rely heavily on poultry exports, this translates into a major economic shock, affecting national budgets and the livelihoods of countless workers involved in processing, packaging, and transportation. Beyond the economic tremors, there is a persistent and serious public health concern. While it is rare for avian flu viruses to jump from birds to humans, it does happen. When it does, the consequences can be severe. Scientists and public health officials watch these outbreaks with immense caution. Each new case in a bird is a chance for the virus to mutate, to potentially become better at infecting humans and, even more worryingly, spreading between them. This constant threat of a new pandemic keeps experts on high alert, making the control of bird flu in poultry populations a critical component of global health security for all of us.
So this isn't just about chickens, it's about the resilience of our food supply, the stability of international trade, and our ability to prevent the next global health crisis. The welfare of a single farm in one part of the world is surprisingly connected to the well-being of families in another.
The silent spread of this virus among birds carries a loud message about our shared vulnerability. Understanding the true cost of an outbreak is the first step in appreciating why we so urgently need smarter, faster, and more collaborative ways to fight it before it takes hold and spirals out of control.
Imagine a large, modern poultry barn, home to thousands of birds. Life inside is carefully managed, from the feed to the lighting. An outbreak of avian flu doesn't begin with a sudden, dramatic event. It starts quietly, almost invisibly. A few birds might seem a little less active than usual. Perhaps they are drinking less water or their egg production dips slightly. These are subtle changes, the kind of things that a busy farm worker might easily miss or attribute to a minor, passing issue like a change in the weather or a new batch of feed. The virus is a silent invader in these crucial early stages.
The problem is that by the time more obvious symptoms appear, the virus has already been spreading like wildfire. Highly pathogenic avian influenza can move incredibly quickly through a dense flock. What started with a handful of birds looking slightly unwell can, within 48 to 72 hours, become a scene of widespread illness and mortality. Birds may develop swollen heads, discolored combs, or show respiratory distress. At this point, the alarm bells are ringing loudly. But for the health of that particular flock, it is already far too late. The infection has taken a firm grip, and the opportunity for containment on that farm has been lost. This quiet beginning makes early detection incredibly difficult. A farmer's experience and intuition are valuable, but they are not infallible against a microscopic enemy. A slight drop in egg production of just 1 or 2% might be the first and only clue. Is it a sign of a devastating virus or just a statistical blip? The decision to raise an alarm is a heavy one. It involves initiating a costly and disruptive investigation. No one wants to cry wolf.
This hesitation, completely understandable from a human and business perspective, provides the virus with the precious time it needs to replicate and spread further, not only within the barn, but potentially to neighboring farms. Furthermore, the virus can be carried on contaminated equipment, vehicles, or even the clothing and shoes of farm workers. It can travel from one farm to another without anyone realizing the danger.
This is how a single, unnoticed infection on one farm can become a regional crisis. The initial silence of the virus is its greatest weapon. It exploits the subtle nature of its early symptoms and the natural delays in human observation and decision-making. Breaking the silence and finding a way to hear the earliest, faintest signals of an outbreak is one of the biggest challenges we face in controlling this disease.
When a farmer suspects a serious disease like avian flu, a formal process kicks into gear. They are required to report their concerns to veterinary authorities. A veterinarian then visits the farm to collect samples, such as swabs from the birds. These samples are sent to a designated government laboratory for testing.
This entire process, from the first phone call to the final confirmation, takes time. It can take several days, and during this period, the farm is usually placed under a precautionary quarantine. While this is happening, the virus isn't waiting patiently. It continues to spread within the flock and potentially beyond.
This reporting structure is our primary line of defense, but it's riddled with delays and gaps. The system is reactive, not proactive. It depends entirely on a person noticing a problem and then choosing to report it. As we've seen, the early signs are easy to miss. Even when they're noticed, there can be a reluctance to report immediately due to the severe economic consequences of a confirmed outbreak. This creates a significant lag.
Information flows up a chain of command, from the farm to local vets, then to regional authorities, and finally to national and international bodies like the World Organization for Animal Health. The data that eventually emerges from this system is often incomplete and can be distorted. Some countries have highly sophisticated surveillance systems, while others have very limited resources. This means the global picture we have of the virus is patchy at best.
Furthermore, the information shared publicly is often aggregated and anonymized to protect commercial interests and avoid triggering trade restrictions unnecessarily. While this is understandable, it means that valuable details, like the precise location, the specific farm conditions, or subtle daily production changes that preceded the outbreak, are lost. We are left with a delayed, generalized summary, not the granular data needed for early warning.
This slow, fragmented, and sometimes incomplete flow of information is a major handicap in our fight against a fast-moving virus. By the time international health organizations receive official confirmation of an outbreak, the critical window for early targeted intervention may have long since closed. The response becomes about stamping out a fire that is already raging rather than extinguishing a spark. We are constantly playing catch-up. To get ahead of the virus, we need to rethink how we gather and share intelligence, moving away from this slow, linear process towards something faster, smarter, and more collaborative. In our modern world, the go-to solution for complex data problems often involves artificial intelligence. The idea seems simple and powerful. Let's just collect all the data in one place.
Imagine a giant centralized database, a big brother for bird flu. Every poultry company, every farm, and every country would upload its daily information in real time. We'd have data on egg production, water consumption, bird mortality rates, and even local wild bird movements. An advanced AI could then sift through this massive dataset, spotting subtle patterns and predicting outbreaks before they even happen. It sounds like a perfect technological fix.
However, this centralized approach runs into a massive wall of human reality, trust, and privacy. For a commercial poultry producer, their farm data is incredibly sensitive. It's proprietary business information. Details about flock performance, feed efficiency, and mortality rates are core to their competitive edge. Handing this data over to a central authority, whether it's a government agency or an international body, is a non-starter. They would worry about how the data is secured, who has access to it, and whether it could be leaked to competitors or used against them in trade disputes. The risk is simply too high. The same concerns exist at the national level. Countries are often in direct competition with each other in the global poultry market. Sharing real-time granular data about the health of your national flock could be seen as a strategic disadvantage. A nation might fear that revealing minor localized health issues could lead to premature and disproportionate trade restrictions from other countries looking to protect their own markets.
This lack of trust creates a powerful incentive to withhold information or to only share it after it has been heavily sanitized and aggregated, which brings us right back to the slow and incomplete data problem we already have. So, while the idea of a single, all-knowing AI is appealing from a purely technical standpoint, it fails the test of practical implementation. It ignores the fundamental commercial and geopolitical realities of our world.
You cannot force companies or countries to share their secrets, especially when those secrets are tied to their economic survival. The fear of losing control over their data and the potential for it to be used against them creates an insurmountable barrier.
We need a solution that acknowledges these legitimate concerns. The answer isn't to demand that everyone puts their data into one big pot. It's to find a way to share the lessons from that data without ever sharing the data itself.
So, if a central Big Brother AI won't work, what's the alternative?
The answer may lie in a clever concept known as federated learning. It's a bit like a group of chefs, all trying to perfect the same recipe. Instead of every chef sending their secret ingredients to a central kitchen for analysis, they each stay in their own kitchen. The head chef sends out a base recipe, let's call it the master model. Each chef then cooks with that recipe, using their own unique private ingredients and techniques. They see how it turns out in their specific kitchen environment. After they've tried the recipe, they don't send their ingredients back. Instead, they just send back a few notes on how they improved the recipe. One chef might say, "I found that adding a pinch more salt made the flavor pop." Another might report, "Baking it for 2 minutes less prevented it from drying out." The head chef gathers all these small suggestions, these model updates, and uses them to improve the master recipe. Then, they send the newly improved recipe back out to all the chefs. This cycle repeats, and with each round, the recipe gets better and better for everyone. But no one ever had to reveal their full list of secret ingredients.
This is exactly how federated learning works with data. Each participant, be it a single farm, a large corporation, or an entire country, keeps its data securely on its own servers. It never leaves their control.
A shared central AI model for predicting disease risk is sent to each participant. They then train this model using their own private local data. The model learns from the specific patterns on that farm or in that region. Once the training is done, it's not the data that gets sent back to the central server, but only the small, anonymous mathematical adjustments, the learning, that improved the model.
This process allows the central model to learn from the experiences of every single participant without any of them ever having to expose their sensitive raw data. Privacy is preserved by design.
The poultry company in one country can contribute its insights to the model, and so can a government agency in another, and neither has to see the other's confidential information. It's a system designed for a world where trust is limited, but the need for cooperation is high. It's a way of learning together, from a rich and diverse pool of experience, while allowing everyone to keep their secrets safely locked away.
Now let's apply this concept of federated learning directly to the problem of avian flu.
Imagine a network of large poultry producers, each with multiple farms. Each farm generates a constant stream of data every single day. How much feed and water the birds are consuming, the temperature and humidity inside the barns, daily egg production counts, and sadly, the number of birds that die, known as the daily mortality rate. This is time series data, a continuous flow of information that charts the health of the flock. This data is the private asset of the company and is kept on its own local servers. Using a federated learning system, a shared AI model designed to predict disease risk is sent to each company in the network. On each company's local server, the model is trained on their historical data. It learns what normal looks like for their specific farms. More importantly, it learns to recognize the incredibly subtle patterns that have preceded past health issues, including confirmed avian flu outbreaks. It might learn, for instance, that a tiny 1.5% drop in water intake, followed by a 2% drop in egg production 24 hours later, is a high-risk signature, a silent signal that the human eye would almost certainly miss.
After this local training, each company doesn't share its precious farm data. Instead, it shares only the mathematical improvements to the model, the anonymous wisdom it has gained. A central coordinator aggregates these updates from all participating companies to create a much smarter, more robust master model.
This improved model, now enriched with the experiences of a diverse range of farms, operating in different conditions, is then sent back to everyone. The process repeats, creating a virtuous cycle. The model gets progressively better at spotting the earliest signs of trouble, giving farmers a vital head start.
This system effectively creates a collaborative early warning network without compromising data privacy. A company in Europe could benefit from the patterns learned from an outbreak on a farm in Southeast Asia, without any data ever crossing borders.
The model would simply flag a local pattern on a dashboard, saying, "Warning. The current data signature on Farm X shows a pattern consistent with a high risk of an emerging respiratory illness." It doesn't say why, it just provides the alert.
This allows the farm manager to take immediate action, such as increasing biosecurity testing birds earlier and potentially stopping an outbreak before it can truly begin. While this approach holds incredible promise, it's important to be realistic about its limitations. This is not a magic bullet that will eradicate bird flu overnight.
The effectiveness of a federated learning system depends heavily on the quality and consistency of the data being fed into it. This means it is most likely to be adopted first by large, technologically advanced poultry companies. These operations already have automated systems for collecting daily data on feed, water, and production. They have the infrastructure and the technical expertise to implement and maintain such a system, making them the ideal early adopters.
The story is very different for the millions of small-scale or backyard farmers around the world. Many do not have access to reliable internet, let alone automated data collection systems. They manage their flocks based on traditional knowledge and manual observation. A system that relies on constant digital data streams is simply not applicable to their reality.
Therefore, while federated learning can strengthen surveillance among major commercial producers and international partners, it risks leaving behind the most vulnerable and resource-poor farming communities, where disease can often emerge and spread unchecked. This digital divide is a significant hurdle.
Another challenge is the issue of false alarms. An AI model is only as good as the data it's trained on. It might flag a pattern as high risk when it's actually just a benign anomaly, perhaps caused by a brief power outage or a faulty water line. Too many false alarms, and farmers will quickly lose trust in the system and start ignoring its warnings.
Building and maintaining this trust is crucial. Farmers need to see the system as a reliable tool that helps them, not a nuisance that creates extra work. This requires careful calibration of the model and transparent communication about its capabilities and its limitations.
Ultimately, federated learning is a powerful step towards smarter, fairer, and more collaborative disease surveillance. It elegantly solves the critical problem of data privacy that has stalled progress for so long. It allows us to build a shared intelligence network, where participants can learn from each other's experiences without giving up their secrets. The virus is a global problem, moving across borders without regard for trade agreements or corporate competition. Our response has been fragmented and slow. While technologies like federated learning are not a complete fix, they represent a vital shift in thinking, pushing us toward the cooperative global strategy we desperately need to get ahead of the next pandemic threat.